Welcome, I'm Ignacio Veiga, and in this video I want to walk you through a very special project. It's a project I created for someone that I deeply admire and respect, not only on a professional level but also on a personal level. Dr. Alexandra Ovtchinnikova. I am lucky enough to call Alexandra my friend, so this is a very important project to me. Alexandra is the author of Dressing Poetics, her doctoral thesis. This case study shows the work we created together. This video is not so much about showing you the final result, because you can check it out on my website and also you can buy the book straight from the publisher, but walking you through the design process and the thinking process and the creative process behind it. The decisions that were made, the conversations that took place, and the collaboration that made this very special piece possible. Now, a quick note for my non-English speaking viewers. Una nota rápida para los que no hablan inglés. Tienen los subtítulos en castellano y en portugués, también en inglés lógicamente, debajo en la configuración. This project was created in close collaboration with Aalto University in Helsinki, Finland, working hand in hand with their publishing house to not only meet their expectations and their guidelines in terms of feasibility, but also to, within those constraints and those requirements, create something unique and that speaks for itself as a product, as a standalone piece. Dr. Alexandra Ovtchinnikova completed her costume design studies in Cambridge College of Art in the UK and also in Aalto University in Helsinki, Finland. In that same institution is where her doctoral thesis took place. Her thesis was carried out under the supervision of Dr. Sofia Pantovacky, and her thesis opponent was Dr. Joshua First. Her thesis was developed around three key films under respective authors: The Plea by Tengiz Abulazdi, The Car of Pomegranates by Sergei Panajanov, and The Eve of Ivan Kupala by Yuri Ilyenko. The content per se moves between analysis, citation, and reflection. So we had to have a clear structure that allowed for that intermixing and contrasting information to be laid out in a way that was intelligible and appealing at the same time, while respecting the main core concept and keeping the whole poetic essence flowing throughout the whole design, the whole piece. From the outset, the goal was not about how the book should look, but rather how it should be read, how the whole reading experience should look like, and how the reader could sift through the pages and get a hold of the content and the information in an organic way, in a way that felt meaningful and relevant to the content and to the whole experience of this particular subject, and at the same time paying homage to the original oeuvres by these authors in a way that made sense and pertained to the same aesthetic universe and resonated aesthetically. Even though this work originated in an academic context, the goal was never to feel distant or cold, but rather to speak in a poetic sense and to convey this mysterious and poetic essence that these particular films have and give testament to this creative ethos through editorial design. We had to create a free-flowing grid that allowed for that intermixing and intertwine and sometimes colliding information to be laid out in a neat and clear way, but at the same time respect the main concept, trying to convey this poetic essence, this free flow of text and image on the page. So in conclusion, this layer doesn't contain the text. It gives a context and a playing field for ideas to be laid out playfully and creatively on the page. Even in the appendices and technical sections, the design choices were made to maintain clarity and visual coherence, ensuring that every part of the book, even the most detailed, reflects the same concept and style. Typography and color were chosen for clarity and tone, not for decoration. Every element, text, captions, footnotes, references, has a clear function in this system and behaves as planned, both from an editorial point of view and from a conceptual and a communicational aspect. The main goal here was to create a structure that could hold over time, not compete with the content. When the system is solid, the final result becomes a natural consequence, and at that point, the project stops being abstract and becomes a reality. But without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Alexandra Ovtchinnikova and hear her own recollection. Let her enlighten us and give us a first-hand recount of her experience, not only as a client and collaborator, but as a co-creator of this very special project. Welcome, Alexandra. It's a pleasure to have you here. Maybe you can walk us through how the context looked like when it all started.
About the year before the completion of my doctoral thesis, I got in touch with Ignacio and I asked him if he would be interested in designing a book that would house my doctoral research. When it comes to specific characteristics of the project, I think there are two main elements. The book would have to be part of the university lineup, so we had to adhere to particular guidelines when it came to the layout. And then second, of course, it was my own vision of how I imagined my research could be presented. And it had a lot to do with the content, but also with my own ideas, what I considered to be valuable or interesting when it came to academic texts and their presentation. I really wanted the readers to not only have information to be presented in a very clear way, but I also wanted it to be exciting, and I wanted it to kind of play homage to the films that I'm discussing in my research. It was not until Ignacio put it already in the layout and I was able to see it on the page that certain things just started popping up. It was actually very helpful. I didn't expect it because my eye got so accustomed to seeing my writing in a particular format that this changed. I think that was very surprising to me. I think when it comes to key design decisions that help to move the project forward, I would say it was the philosophy that we have developed when it came to the use of images. I mean, that we had to deal with, first of all, a big number of all kind of images. From the very beginning, we agreed to try to evoke the overall ethos of the films, where things were very rich and dense. So as a rule, I always told Ignacio that if it's possible, try to make something the biggest possible version of itself, to not be afraid to kind of quote unquote waste pages for like one image or to blow out things or details. We agreed on a certain sense of generosity when it came to the role the visual material will play, and we agreed that it would be a crucial element of the overall presentation and that we had to approach this with a sense of respect, but also somehow with the playfulness that it deserved. When it came to the creative back and forth between me and Ignacio, I think overall it was smooth. We're friends, so I think that allowed to eliminate a certain level of formality. We're both design professionals, allowed us to use a particular, for the lack of a better word, lingo that helped to kind of cut some corners. I think I'm grateful for the way it turned out. I think it has exceeded all my expectations. I constantly get very positive feedback when I show it to people. I feel grateful for having had an opportunity to have my research presented in a way that celebrates its content and celebrates the work that I have done. Of course, I'm also grateful for Ignaccio's work and mostly for his work ethic and his attentiveness and care with which he approached the whole project and our collaboration. I put a lot of trust into him during the project, and I think he handled it with care. I think the final result sort of speaks for itself. Thank you, and I talk to you soon.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Alexandra. It's been a pleasure to have you here on the channel today and hear your experience and your recollection on the matter firsthand. It's very important for us to keep these live conversations going with the client because it sheds light into a side of the project that has to do with how ideas are born and how the design kitchen works and how new ideas come to this world through collaboration. And this is very important. If you want to buy the book, you can do it by clicking the links below here in the description. You also have access to Alexandra's profile and all her corresponding links. And thanks to the audience too. Thanks for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more new content about creativity, design, and innovation. Thank you very much, guys. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.